Jail's Head. Book 1. Bloodkin. By Kathy Ashford. Chapter 16. The what? Like, Aliax Gilded Rose, but that's a brothel. It's not a brothel, Jimmy told me. Well, it is, but it's not just a brothel. There's a lounge and a bar, and they do really good food. And there's dancing. You know, dancing. Nudie dancing, offered Telgith helpfully. But what about the girls? The girls won't want to what? Demanded Lalitha as the door to Seller's room burst open and the 5 women piled out into the hall. They all looked flushed and giddy, and although I looked carefully, I could see no sign of a pimple anywhere on Lalitha's face. We're taking Jazz to the Gilded Rose for his birthday, Telgith told them. Oh, but that's a whorehouse, yelped Mantilly. She hiccuped and then giggled. Nah, Tilly, it's a titty bar, Stella cried, then covered her mouth to stop the giggles. Oh, cool, Mantilly turned to her seriously. I've never been to a strip club before. Holy Lewis. Post-girl time, the women were keener to go than I was, and after a couple of bottles of wine, who knows what else, they were more than ready to party. Min Eve wished me a happy birthday from behind her desk in reception. Then Lalitha and Mantilly grabbed an arm each and steered me out of the door. I was immediately grateful I was wearing the gifts my mother had sent me. It was bloody cold, and an icy drizzle had begun to fall from pendulous clouds. Luckily, the shades in the quarter that kept out the sun in summer also served to keep most of the moisture away from the streets, but nevertheless we were damp and chilly by the time we had wound our way through the quarter to its very northern edge. Here, it bordered the wealthy residential part of the human area of the city, and not much further north the hills began to climb away from the flat land beside the lake. The Rose was an elegant building down a private alleyway. Red globes lit the doorway, and the wooden sign that hung above it, decorated with a delicate red rose picked out in gilt. Inside, a cosy reception area awaited us. Plush velvet couches nestled around a fire, and a grand desk filled the rest of the space. Aliak looked up from behind the desk as we walked in. Oh, you're all here. Good. Happy birthday, Jazeth. Welcome to the Gilded Rose. She smiled at me and stood. I'll just get one of the other girls to watch the desk for me. She popped through a door leading into a back room and returned with a human woman in her late 20s, her black hair pulled back severely. Lavakla, would you mind the desk for me? The other woman nodded and sat, barely looking at us as Aliak beckoned me forward. Come on, Jesseth, let's go through. She pushed through another door and we all followed her into the lounge of the Rose. In the lounge, the ceiling was low and intimate, dripping with red and purple globes. A long bar ran down one wall, and on an adjacent one, a large stage was set up, complete with poles and a large silver cage. We had arrived before the entertainment had begun, it seemed. Small groups of tables and chairs were set up facing the stage, and the other 2 walls were lined with generous booths. Purple velvet benches faced large, semicircular dining tables, and each had red velvet curtains that I presumed could be pulled for privacy. Aliak settled us in one of the booths, and she turned to me with her best dimpled cheek smile. I'll tell the chef you have arrived. I hope you like steak, Jesseth. She moved off to an entrance behind the bar, beside displays that held a glittering array of expensive liquors, gleaming different colours and ornate bottles. She returned, bearing a tall, thin bottle of a bright green liqueur, a waitress following her with a tray of glasses, a bowl of sugar cubes, and an odd spoon-shaped device. Have you ever drunk absinthe before? Aliak asked me, as we looked on in interest as she poured the drink. She rested the spoon on top of each glass in turn and placed a sugar cube in its slotted hollow. Then she poured the absinthe over the sugar and warmed it briefly with Hyavan. Gently now. This stuff will take your head off, she cautioned as we raised our glasses. To Jesseth, May your next 19 years be safe and prosperous. Charlie toasted me. To Joseph! Everyone else cheered, and I took a sip of my drink. Sweet little bitch! Aliak had not been lying about the potency of the brew. The sugar had taken the edge off slightly, but it still felt like a kick in the throat when I swallowed. Telgith coughed loudly. Fucking hell, Aliak! Are you trying to poison us? He gasped. She did laugh. I told you to take it easy, Telgith. Oh, here comes the chef now. The chef, assisted by the waitress, handed round plates of our dinner. We had a beautiful, tender piece of steak, perfectly medium rare, smothered with mushrooms and a slice of tangy blue cheese. It sat on a bed of creamy potato and garlic mash, and the whole lot was drizzled with a rich red wine jus. Oh, God, Jimmy, you were right about the food, I exclaimed as I wiped up the last of the sauce with my finger. I'm glad you approve, Aliak smiled at me. Ah, and here's Anna and Fiona. Perhaps it's time to start the entertainment. Anna and Fiona had entered the lounge, glancing about for a second before noticing us and waving, then going to order drinks for the bar. Two of Anna's bodyguards slipped in unobtrusively and went to sit at one of the tables. She'd probably left the other one outside, I guessed. The poor bugger must have clearly drawn the short straw for the evening. Off to the side of the stage, musicians began to play, swirling, complex, Nyathi-style music, but with a definite hint of sensual rhythm. A girl, possibly slightly older than us, appeared on the stage from behind a curtain and began to dance. She was wearing a Nyathi-style robe, but it was slit down the front and belted closed. As she danced, her fingers played with the belt, teasing it open slowly. Oh, man. I am definitely going to have to sit closer. You coming, Jazz? I waved Telgith away. I could see just fine from the booth at the back. He went to sit at a table right in front of the stage, Samak and Donnock following immediately. And Dunkel, after he hesitated a moment. Oof. I can just imagine what my mum would say if she knew I was here. Ugh! Bloody spectacles have gotten all steamed up. The rest of the tables and booths filled up slowly. There were groups of expensively dressed men, as well as some women, I was a bit surprised to see, who watched the show from behind fluttering fans. No matter how slowly I sipped my absinthe, I had begun to feel decidedly tiddly already. After we had eaten, Sella had gone to find a bathroom, but now she was back, and she slid into the booth beside me, almost sitting on my lap. Her leg pressed into mine as we watched the girl on stage. This was weirdly intimate behaviour, but I was well into my glass of the green liqueur, and I could not bring myself to care. The dancer had shed her robe and revealed long, long legs covered in silky stockings, with towering strappy shoes, heeled like knives. A corset cinched her waist in tight, and as she slung her hips and bent over to give the crowd an excellent view of her lacy knickers, she toyed with the buttons on a satin bolero that barely covered her bosom. "Take it off!" yelled a man at one of the other tables. The girl paused and waggled a finger at him mock sternly, like a teacher at a naughty little boy, then flicked open the buttons. She turned and slid the jacket over one shoulder, then the other, then pulled it off altogether, revealing her back, bare save the corset and the strap of her thin brassiere. She turned to show the crowd, who whistled and cheered. Her bra barely covered her nipples, and as she squeezed her arms together to show off her breasts, I was sure they were going to pop out completely. Oof! Was it just me, or was it getting very hot? I took another sip of my drink and almost spluttered as I felt Sella's hand rest lightly on my knee. She hadn't shown any interest in me since that first night at the Shivering Thistle, and she had flirted with Samak on and off in the intervening months. I don't think anything had come of it. But this new attention was definitely a surprise. I tried not to think of her hand, now lightly stroking my knee, but the girl on stage was now completely topless, playing with the crowd, teasing them by covering herself with her hands and grinding her hips. I chanced to look at Lalitha, who was peering at the stage, cheeks pink, as interest warred with embarrassment. Charlie had gone to talk to Anna and Fiona at the bar, I realised, glancing over that Anna was studying him thoughtfully, looking away whenever he caught her eye. "Hey, Letha, look," I whispered, pointing at the bar. "What?" She dragged her eyes away from the stage and looked to where I was pointing. "Oh. Oh. Cute. Looks like I planted the seeds, eh?" Indeed she had. There was definitely a new sort of tension between the two. Fiona left them and drifted over, carrying another bottle of absinthe, which helped me. Ugh, I don't know what's going on with those two. I thought it would be much more fun back over here. "Having fun, Lalitha, darling?" She grinned wickedly, and Lalitha flushed an even darker red. Yeah, I suppose." Fiona chortled. "I bet. Aliak has some lovely girls who would just adore you." Lalitha ducked her head, and her response was drowned out by the roaring of the crowd. The dancer had dropped her hands, and her breasts, with their hard chips of nipples, swung free. Stella's hand was creeping higher up my leg, and I gulped. It was going to be very hard to walk soon if she kept this up. "Hey, Jessith, did you like your present?" I helped Charlie pick it out. "Oh, yes, Fiona. Thank you. Can I use it here?" Fiona laughed. "Oh, yes. The smoking of moss is permitted. Aliak is Niathi blood, you know. Just no tobacco inside. It makes everything smell nasty." Fortunately, the pocket with my pipe and moss was on the other side of the leg Stella was touching. Red, anyone?" I packed my new pipe from the red velvet pouch, then sparked it myself as it passed around the booth. The dancer finished to a loud round of applause, and she scooped up her discarded clothing from the floor of the stage and disappeared through the curtain with a final cheeky grin for the crowd. The music continued, and the dancer was replaced on stage by a willowy Niathi youth, demurely covered for the moment. "Oh, Niathi strippers! Brilliant! Look, Letha!" Jimmy elbowed her, and she grimaced. "Oh, I hate being gay at times like this. It's just not fair," she moaned. The girls had had a massive head start with their drinking, and Lalitha was slurring her words ever so slightly. Mantilly, who had gone to sit with the boys, and she was whispering in Dunkel's ear, who periodically had to remove his spectacles and wipe them clear of steam. And Stella? Well, Stella seemed intent on giving the birthday boy a gift of her own. "I, have to go to the bathroom." I stood abruptly and eased my way over Stella, who trailed her fingernails down my leg as I passed. "Oh, Hal, please don't let me have an erection. Please." I possibly did, but the cut of my robe was very forgiving. Anna and Charlie were still talking at the bar, and Charlie watched me expressionless as I walked past on my way to relieving myself. That was odd. In fact, that was very odd. But I didn't pause. Now I was standing, the pressure on my full bladder was almost unbearable. On the way back from the bathroom, I noticed Anna had gone to sit with the others at the booth, and as I went to go join them, Charlie stepped in front of me and blocked my way. "Why the hell didn't you tell me?" His face was dark with fury, and I took a step back, surprised more than anything by the force of his question and the wholly uncharacteristic anger. Charlie had never been angry at me before. Tell you what," I countered lamely. "What happened on Samhain, you idiot?" He had never called me names before. Well, only nice ones. "Anna told you?" "She most certainly did. Why, Jazz? Why didn't you tell me?" Something else crept into his voice. Sadness? Guilt, maybe? I realized suddenly that his anger wasn't directed at me. "Anna, she asked me not to." "Oh, hell, I'm sorry, Charlie. It wasn't that big a deal," I said when he sniffed. Seriously? My mentor was almost crying. "It was a big deal," he exclaimed. "You could have been killed. I'm your effing mentor, and you could have been killed. I failed you, Jessith." Do you understand that? I should never have taken you to that place, and I should have looked after you like I'm supposed to. It's my job, and I failed, he groaned. Oh, sweet little bitch. If a crying girl was hard to deal with, Charlie's miserable self-recriminations were terrifying. Shit, Charlie, seriously, it's fine. But you couldn't even tell me. The look on his face was pure woe. I couldn't handle it. I reached out and tentatively patted him on the arm. Emma asked me not to, and it was fine, and we were right, and we won't let it happen again. Come on, let's go to the bar. It's my birthday, I said brightly, trying to distract him, but he groaned again and rubbed his forehead in dismay. Now I'm ruining your birthday. I'm the worst mentor ever. Right. It was clearly time to take the firm approach. That's bollocks, Charlie. You're a brilliant mentor and you know it. You're the best. Now, let's go get some of that tequila you're always going on about. That seemed to work because he smiled hesitantly. Oh, yes. You'll like tequila. Best thing to come out of you since I don't know what. I am sorry, Jazz. I will try harder. I didn't want to think about Charlie trying to be a better mentor. That was too overwhelming. So I towed him to the bar. Behind the counter, Eliak had taken over for a while so the waitress could take a break. She grinned when Charlie ordered the tequila. It was a thick, amber liquid. Eliak poured 2 shots into tiny glasses and laid slices of lemon on top, setting a salt shaker beside them on the bar. Excellent choice. This has been imported directly from Yule. She waved me away when I went to pull out my coin purse. Anna is taking care of it all tonight, boyo. It seems she's grown rather fond of you. Now that was a surprise. The tall, violet-eyed woman, even when at her most relaxed, was always slightly removed and aloof, always watchful. Even though I saw her most weekends, and she was always gentle with me, I only detected fondness for Eliak, Fiona and Charlie. Even Jeets failed to rouse any sort of warmth in her, but perhaps that was because he plainly disapproved of her occupation. Therefore, I thought, maybe this whole birthday thing was an apology of sorts for the Samhain incident. Somehow, Lalitha and I had found ourselves in the middle of one of her professional deals, and maybe she felt guilty. An unpleasant thought niggled at me. I had assumed the whole thing had simply been a case of wrong place, wrong time. But Anna had said she had a personal interest in killing those 2 men. Maybe, and this was the unpleasant bit, maybe she had used us as bait. Oh, no, come on, I told myself sternly. That was far too much like paranoia to be true. She had been Charlie's friend for as long as I had been alive. She had been a mentor herself. She wouldn't do anything to put us in harm's way, would she? Yeah, but she is the most ruthless woman in the entire city, the little voice told me. She is the head of Yavasalian. Maybe... Stop it, I thought, and concentrated on Charlie showing me how to drink the tequila. You lick the soft bit of your hand between the thumb and first finger and sprinkle salt on it. Then, holding the lemon in your hand, you lick the salt off, down the shot, and then sucked on the lemon. How hard could it be? Right. Salt, tequila, lemon. The lemon was already in my mouth before my brain could register the punch of the strong liquor. Oh, shit! I gasped and spat out the wedge of lemon. Charlie giggled as his lips puckered and one of his eyes twitched involuntarily. What, you like this stuff? I demanded, eyes watering. Give it a second. Charlie licked the last of the salt from his hand. Sure enough, my stomach slowly unclenched and a warm fire spread through my insides. Not bad. Stella and Lalitha had come over to us, giggling about something and stumbling slightly. There was an ease between them that 2 weeks ago I would never have thought possible. Oh, Tequila. Brilliant. Have you ever drunk tequila before, Lolly? Stella used Lolitha's hated nickname, but to my surprise, she didn't seem to mind. Whatever Emma had done, it had worked like magic. I chuckled quietly to myself. Of course, it actually kind of had been magic. Hello, girls. Tequila? Aliak leaned back and called through the door to the kitchen. Coco, can you come out here, please? Coco appeared in the doorway, a winsome girl of medium height, with long, curly, dark hair and dewy brown eyes. Coco, dear, these are my friends. Please, entertain them while I duck out to the desk for a second. Coco smiled shyly at Lolitha, who blushed furiously. Charlie gave me a massive wink. I think I'll leave you kids to it, then. And he went to sit at the booth with the other mentors. How does this work? Asked Lolitha as Coco poured the next round for us. Easy. Okay, Jesseth, lick my neck. Wait, what? Right here. Stella lifted her hair back and pointed to a spot that was very close to the swell of her breast. Oh, hell. Okay. I can do this. I complied quickly, trying not to breathe in too much of her scent or look too closely at the top of her dress. It was very low cut. Shit. Good, she told me, and sprinkled salt on the damp patch I had left. She took a slice of lemon and placed it in her teeth, the rind side facing in, and handed me the shot glass. I saw what I had to do. Without hesitation, I licked the salt from her neck, drank the tequila in one go, and then took the lemon from her lips. As I bit down on the sour fruit, she grinned at me. That's how me and my friends do it when we used to go down to the docks. I lifted my eyebrows in appreciation. This cellar was not nearly as posh as she made out to be. The mental image of her and her friends licking salt off each other and biting lemons from each other's lips was definitely one I was going to save for later. She impatiently motioned for me to hold the lemon for her and lick my neck before sprinkling salt from the shaker. Cheers, Jesseth, she cried, licking the salt off my neck, her tongue grinding the grains from my skin. She drank her shot in one go, then took her sweet time taking the lemon from my mouth, touching her lips to mine as she bit down. This was possibly the coolest thing anyone had ever done to me. Wow! Lolitha was trying to have a conversation with Coco. So, is your name really Coco? Nah, it's Kaylee Oak, but Coco's cuter, don't you think? She batted her eyelashes at Lolitha, who was still blushing. Yep. And do you work here? Yeah. Well, not work here. I'm just one of the waitresses. Min Aliak won't let me do anything else, seeing as I'm just 17. And her friend Min Anna thinks I'm Neathi blood, so I'll be going to the academy when I'm old enough. Do you want one? Coco indicated the tequila, and, drunk as she was, Lolitha could only nod. Coco offered her neck for Lolitha to lick, and Stella and I cheered her on as she drank the tequila and bit the lemon from Coco's lips. We all did another shot then. Then Stella pulled me away to an empty booth. Lolitha gave me a brief, pleading look as we left, but I gave her the thumbs up, and I saw Coco shyly reach for her hand. Good old Lolly. Do you know she's never even kissed a girl before? I didn't know, though I probably could have guessed. It was unlikely there were many options for a lesbian in a quiet mountain village like Lalisol. I didn't tell Stella that before the first night at the Thistle I'd never kissed a girl before either. You and Letha seem to be getting on better. What did Emma do to you? Stella's face paled for a second. Oh, God, Jessa, that was so awful. I had no idea. And she's such a good sort, that Lolly. I can't even remember why I disliked her so much. Emma tells me I was secretly jealous, but it didn't feel like that. Anyway, Stella was clearly not in the mood for talking, and she snuggled into me in the back of the booth. This was not at all how I expected the evening to go, but as she turned her head up to face mine and twined her fingers through my hair to pull my head down to hers, everything, the dances, the music, the Samhain incident, was forgotten. The other important thing that happened in November, of course, was the arrival of Lux. End of chapter 16! Yeah!